In the state of California, they recently passed a law that's called yes means yes. And according to this law, a woman can charge a man with rape even though she agreed to have consensual sex with him. Whatever happened to my body, my choice? And moreover, whatever happened to personal responsibility? When it comes to these laws, what it is that it seems like your liberals are at it again. And they're talking about, I look at it as these liberals are talking out of both sides of their mouths. And first you're saying no means no, but now you're saying yes means yes. So we have to ask the question, what is consent? And moreover, what is when does personal responsibility kick in? If a woman consents to have sex with a man, how can that be considered rape as I see it? I don't see it as if you consent to have sex with a man, you are not being raped. I mean, according to Susan Brown Miller's classic Against Our Will, Men, Women, and rape is an act of violence that's about power and control. And it is an act done by, you know, very, very deeply troubled individuals, and it's meant to humiliate and degrade women. Now, how can you be humiliated and degraded if you're the one saying yes and committing to participate in this act? This is what's so backwards about this yes means yes law that these liberals are trying to push through because it absolves women from taking responsibility for their body and their choices. It tells them that they're not responsible. But this is what the liberal does all the time, is that he tells you that it's not your fault, you're not responsible for anything that you do, and that any choice you make, there's an excuse for it. And what makes this law really dysfunctional is the fact that I think a lot of these legislators just do not understand how sexually promiscuous American women are these days. Your average American woman, by the time she's 30 years old, has had sex with over 80 men. So how can this be rape when women are willfully and actively participating in numerous sexual encounters with multiple men, and they're making the choice with it to do this with their own bodies? That's what's so backwards about this law and as it's proposed. So because according to these kind of laws, a woman can have sex with a man, um, and then the morning after, where she's dealing with her emotional regrets, her guilt, and her shame, and the eventual social shame of her behaviors, then go back to a police station, file a rape charge, and say that this man committed a crime against her, when in actuality there was no crime committed. If it's your body and you made the choice to have intercourse with this man casually, then you have to take responsibility for the consequences of your choices and your actions. And this is something, most American women don't want to do. They don't want to take responsibility for their choices that they make with their bodies, and they don't want to deal with the social consequences of those actions that they take. So, this is why these yes means yes laws are horribly dysfunctional because they don't make American women take responsibility for the choices that they make with their bodies. And because again, this is the big statement that women like to make, is that it's their body, it's their choice, and they can do whatever they want. However, whenever somebody asks you to take, responsibility for your choices that you make, then it's a different story. And this is the hypocrisy of the liberal, is that he's telling you that it's your body and your choice, but then when you make choices that you don't like and you have to deal with the consequences of those choices, you can go and file a charge against the man and tell him he committed a crime when there was no crime committed. The only error made was in poor judgment. And this is something that you have to learn to take responsibility for. I mean, people make mistakes throughout their lives, and it's not a crime. And I look at, women who go out there and they pick up a guy at a bar, and or they go to a party and they get drunk and they pick up a guy at a bar, and then they have a casual encounter with this man. They cannot say that it's a rape. It's a bad decision that you made, and that you have to own up to it and take responsibility for it and move on. Because the crime of rape is an act of violence. Again, clearly stated in Susan Brown Miller's Against Our Will, Men, Women, and Rape. And it's an act of violence meant to degrade and humiliate a woman. And we need to differentiate between an act of violence and a woman's bad decisions. Now, this is something that, yeah, we really need to differentiate between those two, because there's a difference between, an act of violence where someone clearly has said no and does not want anybody to violate their body and their personal space, and someone who goes and makes a bad decision one evening or one day, and then has regrets and guilt, and then is trying to deal with the social shame and social stigmas that come along with participating in, casual sexual encounters. Um, there's a big difference between the two, and what these type of laws do is, again, they prevent people from taking responsibility for their own lives and their own actions. And in some ways, they're kind of insulting to, as I see it, they're really insulting the women, because a yes means yes law is really saying to a woman that you're too stupid to control your own body. You're too stupid to take responsibility to make your own choices, and you're too stupid to you know, um, control yourself. It says that you're an idiot. It's really a backhanded slap in the face, because this is what nice guys like to do. The nice guy, he'll say he's doing things in your best interest, but in reality, he's slapping you in the face. And this is what this type of law is saying, that, again, a woman is too stupid to control her own body and is too stupid to make her own choices regarding her own body. Um, and I look at these kind of laws as, you know, they're not about helping people be the best they can be and take responsibility for themselves, and realize that everywhere you are is based on the choices that you have made to this point. I mean, if you say yes to the wrong to the wrong man, then that's for you to take responsibility for. Um, there's a difference, again. There's a difference between an act of violence and a poor choice, and we're not seeing anybody talk. These liberals don't want people to take consequences for their choices, and they don't want them to deal with the consequences of their actions. I look at America over the last 15 years, and even the last 25 years, because I mean, I remember being 12 years old, 12, 13 years old, and girls have been running around casually proposing sex since even I was 13 years old. So, and they were doing it with much older men in their 20s. You know, they would do it for a box of fried rice and chicken wings. Yeah, and legally it was statutory rape, but even the parents went along with it. And I've seen 18, 19-year-old girls when I was in high school and college, same thing. Um, and again, back then the parents would tell you it was your fault and you had to take responsibility for it if you had a casual encounter in your bathroom stall, or your guy took you over to it, because usually it was in a bathroom stall, a hotel, or some other place that a lot of these encounters happen, because a lot of women, they see these guys, they get attracted, they get lustful, and they feel like they have to have him, and you know and then later on they start feeling the guilt and the shame, and then their friends are making fun of them, and they have this social stigmas. But that's not rape. That's a lesson learned. That's called, I made a bad decision, um, and I need to deal with the consequences of that bad decision. You know, Does it mean you're a bad person? No, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that, you made a decision that wasn't too conscious. You didn't make a good decision, and that later on you're supposed to learn from that. And what yes means yes laws really do is enable people to not take responsibility for their actions, and it really minimizes the horror and the violence of rape when it really happens, because the time law enforcement takes to on these type of cases really prevents people who really have suffered real violence and sexual violence from getting the help that they need, and it really cheapens what rape really is. And it also, these kind of laws really can destroy the life of an innocent man, because I've even seen regular rape laws being manipulated by dysfunctional women, like in the case of your Brian Banks a couple of years ago. Um, this woman, because Brian Banks would not continue the relationship with her, decided to say, Brian Banks raped me, and this man spent 6 years in prison based on an unsubstantiated false rape claim, made up because this woman couldn't get her way. And this is how a yes means yes law can be manipulated, by a dysfunctional woman or a vindictive woman who feels, and I'm not minimizing rape victims, real rape victims, but I'm saying that there are people who abuse the system, and they'll use laws like this to get back at a guy for not calling them when they promised, or they'll use this type of law, to get back at a guy for just, talking trash to his friends about how he, had her in the bathroom stall or something like that. This is what these type of laws are going to allow people to do. I mean, or how they had them or they had sex with somebody who, when they were drunk and they were bragging about it and they want to get even with them. These laws are ripe for abuse. I mean, if you willfully, I mean, the whole part of life again is about taking responsibility for yourself and your actions and your choices. And a yes means yes law again helps people to make excuses for their own bad decisions. And this is why we should not have laws like this on the books, because all it's going to do is ruin a man's life. Because what a lot of people don't understand is when a man is charged, even accused of a sex crime, such as rape, his career is pretty much over with. I mean, I worked in job readiness about 15 years ago, and they said the only person they could not place out of all the ex-offenders, because the Just Strife program where I worked, they dealt with the hardest of hard cases, which included ex-offenders. And the only hard case that they could not place is someone who was charged with a sex crime or had been convicted of a sex crime. Because even being accused of these type of crimes, it can do devastating damage to your career. I mean, a man can lose his job, and he can even be forced out of his home. His whole life can be ruined by these kinds of accusations. And this is why I do not support these yes means yes laws, because why should we destroy a man's life based on a bad decision that the woman made and that the man made? Both of them made. Both of them made the decision, but making a bad decision is not a crime. And it's really again a slap in the face to real rape victims who have suffered horrifying violence, and it's a real slap in the face to women in general, because it says that a woman cannot make good choices with her own body. Now, the whole point of women's rights was to say, it's your body, you make choices with it, and if this is your body and you're making choices with it, you have to take responsibility for all of the choices you make, even the bad ones. And this is something I saw just recently in the movie Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Again, so, you know, this woman wanted to live life on her terms. The Diane Keaton character wanted to live life on her terms. And sad, it's like what was sad was in the end she got killed because of her own choices. And she didn't, again, she just, and her own irresponsible choices at that. She was making a whole lot of irresponsible choices, and, regarding the men she got involved with. and ultimately it led to her demise. And this is what she had said yes to eventually. And this is what these yes means yes laws really, it prevents people from being forced to take responsibility for their own actions and you know the things that they do. I mean, American women are the most sexually promiscuous in the world. And I mean, everybody, even people who in foreign countries will tell you this, that American women will say yes to anyone when it comes to sex, and there has to be an objective view on it and say, you know what, if you keep saying yes to all of these men, you have to take responsibility for the choices that you make regarding those men. You can't say that you know you were raped when you said yes to participating in a sexual act, with sexual intercourse with this man. This is a big problem in America. I see it as another one of the liberal. Again, he's the um, nice guy, because these liberals, that's what they're doing. They're being the nice guy, and they're seeing things, from a very, very distorted view when it comes to male-female relations. And they're thinking they're going to come in here like a white knight and protect women from their own bad and protect women, because they coming from this distorted logic saying that if a man can't get sex, then he has to rape, when that's not the case at all. A man has numerous options to get his sexual gratification, and he does not have to he does not have to rape a woman. And this is the distorted logic that the nice guy liberals have, and these white knights have. A lot of these white knights have that. You know, a man does not have any other options. Men have lots of other options for sexual gratification, including masturbation and pornography, and they don't need to use rape. And the whole thing is, if a woman says yes, it clearly is not a rape. It is clearly not an act of sexual violence. It is a bad decision. It is a personal mistake, and it is a lesson learned that most women are just going to have to grow from, just like many men have to grow from a bad decision that they have made regarding a sexual choice in their life. And this is the big problem. You can't with these yes means yes laws, is that they make it where it's my body my choice when I make choices that I like, and not my body my choice when it's choices that they don't like. And it makes people into victims when they had made a conscious decision to participate in behaviors with their own bodies. This is just a disturbing thing. A lot of people I watched Jason Black on Facebook a while back. He said that this could be used to arrest and convict black men, but I see it as a danger to all American men. This kind of law really, it's not the kind of law we really need to be pushing to put on the books. The state of California has it. We have Andrew Cuomo here in New York. He's trying to push this type of law, legislation, into becoming a law. And I really think men, besides myself, have to need to start speaking out about this, because these kind of laws, they do not help both women or men. It really destroys lives, and it enables, a victimized mindset within American women, and never makes them take responsibility for themselves or for their actions. I mean, part of the women's rights movement was supposed to be about equal rights, and equal rights comes equal responsibility. If you want equal responsibility, I mean, if you want the rights, you're going to have to take the responsibility with them, and that's what's missing from these yes means yes laws, is that there's equal responsibility. The man made a choice, the woman made a choice. They both said yes. Um, Both of them should be held accountable on the same level. Um, if the man says yes, if the man says yes, and it's not a crime, then when the woman says yes, it should not be a crime. Um, that's the way it should be. That's true equality. And that's what these white knights and nice guys don't understand when it comes to, things like rape and even sexual conduct. They don't even understand the basic rules of sexual conduct, because when it comes to these white knights, they really don't understand, how people socialize on a sexual level, because they really don't know how to connect on that level. They do not understand, that women are highly sexual, and that they are attracted within 5 seconds of even looking at a man. They don't understand these concepts. They don't understand, how people relate to each other. In his mind, this white knight, again, he thinks that, good deeds will get him laid. Not understanding, again, women already made a decision within 5 seconds of looking at you. He thinks all the good deeds are going to do it, and this is what these white knights, with these yes means yes laws, really think. They think that, I'll pass this law, and it'll show me as this good guy who did these good deeds, and eventually, maybe it'll help me get laid. Really, it just shows how lame and how weak these guys are, these liberals are, and it shows how cowardly they are, and it shows how patronizing they are. Truly, I'm seeing, nice guy syndrome in full effect here. When it comes to this yes means yes law, it's clearly, nice guy syndrome taken to the next level. Because when you deal with the quote unquote nice guy, he's not really nice. And he does these things in a passive aggressive way. Because when I look at this type of legislation, it's really passive aggressive. It's saying, as I stated before, two times in this video, it's stating that a woman is too stupid to control her own body and make the right choices with it. And what a lot of women need to understand is, these guys are not on your side. They're really the closet misogynists, and they truly hate women. They truly hate women, and they just do things under the table to make it look like they're advocating for women, but really, in actuality, they're not advocating for anyone at all. And you have to understand how bad these guys are and how bad these kind of laws are, because, men are logical thinkers, and they understand the concept of no means no. And the whole thing with the yes means yes does is that it confuses male-female relations, and it prevents, people from taking responsibility for their sexual behavior and their sexual conduct. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.